Hi friends, let's take a look at Tezos versus Bitcoin and Tezos versus the dollar coin. Well, here we are, sub $2, sub $2. And what has it done for us since Friday? Going back up to the 24-hour time frame and zooming on in and just taking a quick look back at what we spoke about last Friday. Now today is the 21st. Bring up the calendar. And you can see that Friday was indeed the 18th. Going back to the calendar here on the 18th, I did actually need to do that. I was thinking, talking live and doing math at the same time. I can't even do a little bit of basic arithmetic. We were talking about this here and saying we've got the traffic light system on the go. Movements down below this will be very bad. We talked about this as being the Alamo within the Alamo. Of course, we've had various other Alamos along the way, especially with regards to Bitcoin, in fact, where we had the Alamo up there at 24,000 or so, as being, like this is what we need to see being respected. And if we look here in the 15th, we did push on down past it. Now we said again, this would be really needing to be it, or else it's really dodgy times. And what's happened is we've come on down even further. So that's just it. We have to face facts, and that is why, if you noticed, I talked about going with the crowd in the on Fridays episodes thumbnail and whatnot, and did try to intimate quite clearly the dangers of these areas. So let's just look at that a little bit closer, shall we, and see if there's any lessons to be learned now looking back the way at it. Still on the 24-hour time frame, this is today's price action. We've had highs of 227 and lows of 191. It has been fantastic for people who've been trading this to the short side at all over the last 24 hours. Today's day is just alone, not the last 24 hours, at $15, nearly 16%, 15.5% there, moving down the way, going from yesterday's price action down to where we are now. We're talking 20%, and indeed going from this line here, this red line. When we crossed that, if you'd have got in any point in around then, talking over 20% movement towards the downside. What if instead you just looked at the pitchfork and said, well, this here, it doesn't have any relevance to us. We spoke about it and said, and this is before this wick had come in here, and you can see it's right down there on the edge of the pitchfork, came back up, and then we didn't actually manage to push above the red line over there. That red line at $2.40 probably should have been situated ever so slightly even lower, but this up here where it was, giving you a proper idea of when we could be going down a bit. Movements then down below 240, saw the prices coming back down to the pitchfork and pushing outside of it. And then we came back in, we didn't manage to close inside of it again. Instead, we were just outside of it, and then we moved down the way. So you could have used the pitchfork as well as a way of looking at this. Now, what type of pitchfork is this? This is, of course, a shift pitchfork. If we change this over to an inside pitchfork, then where do we have it? And it's actually outside of that as well. So we've really had a pushing down of the prices. If we can see them sort of close out here for the day above $2.06, then of course that's going to be much more positive in terms of a close, giving a little bit of a rejection on that wick and coming in here at this sort of from where we had our Fibonacci at, drawn in from before, going on down a bit. Now, when did I have that there? I would have to look back at previous episodes to know why that was there, but that's like almost predictive. Maybe I did that myself over the weekend without realizing it. I'm not sure. Yeah, so anyway, to go back up to the to get a valid Fibonacci here using this one with the white lines here, then to go above the 236 is coming in now at 252. That's of course a really nice, more than 20% movement towards the top side there on that one. And then the 382 comes in at 289. The 50% comes in at 319, and the 618 golden pocket zone is in there at 350 to 360. So those would be your three retracements in order to just maintain this as a downward trend. That's the golden pocket one, a bit harder to get, but it's certainly a candidate in there where we see that we had a 2618, we've got a 2618 on this previous old Fibonacci here, which is now kind of, we're now moving past that, and I'll adjust this in a second to accommodate for that. But we had this 236 here at 243, and the 2618 on that one coming in at 350. Accommodating the most recent price action changes coming in from our highs down to our lows. Then we can see the 236 in there at $2.13. So a 618 golden pocket retrace on this one will come in at the the 236 of the broader Fibonacci, and that's kind of going to tie in nicely with that one. So the couple of targets then, just to reiterate, that we're looking at there just is, for instance, this golden pocket in terms of a lower high over here. If we come in for a golden pocket retrace on this bigger, broader term perspective, that's actually where the 1618 is now on this Fibonacci. That's with the smaller term one, most recent term one. Then we're looking towards we're asking a question about whether or not we're actually breaching this structure. That'd be a very positive one, because even just coming up there and retracing from it would be putting in a high compared to our previous highs, which we're going to have to consider to be this one. We do have the potential to look at it the same sort of a way in and around these two zones, but this would be, but if we do it on this a 618 retrace on this Fibonacci here, then we're still just coming in at a lower high. It'd have to be past the 786 on that one to really push on past it, and we could talk about various different Elliott wave things and all the rest of it if you really wanted to then, but I'm not particularly bothered to do that myself right now. The main thing that I'd be looking to in terms of a retracement on this one at this minute, if without some sort of change along the way, would have to be in here at the 50% area where you've got 318 and that orange line, or 320 call it. Now we do have the potential for bullish divergence between the previous two lows, kind of on the stochastics. On the RSI, not so much. On the DMI, again, not so much, and very much a strong trend towards the top side. But should we see this curve around? Should we see it curve around, and come towards the downside like we saw here after the upward trend towards the middle of August? Should we see the same sort of effect happen here? And then maybe we can start to get excited about what could potentially be a positive wedge formation on the the MACD, and of course the price action as a result. So there could be this concept here. Now, this is something from the sort of the Rocky Outcrop textbook of trading, is this whole idea of looking for wedges when you see these things, and then asking the question if this just is going to fail out the way, or how that would look. And maybe lower highs coming in at that 618 golden pocket zone, and the 236 over here would simply convert this over to being a parallel channel. So you would know that that's the case along the way, but then pushing past that, of course, means that we're breaking out with the parallel channel, and that would be positive. And the measured move off the back of this, then therefore, looking between that, sort of taking it as the most generous point that we can, and putting it in around about these zones, does take us up to being able to put in a higher high than either of these two highs on the way down to where we are, and come in for a 382, and perhaps to move up above the upper line of this inside pitchfork here on this one. But that's all speculative at this point, and we'll just have to come back later. Should we see further downside, then the downside targets will probably come in here at 179 for us. Currently another 10% down essentially from where we are just now. Looking here at the Bitcoin pairing, then of course movements outside of this rectangle area at the top were very much important. By rectangle, what I mean is rectangle. And we've done that now, so no point crying over broken eggs. If we look to this low here and this most recent of lows, RSI and DMI very much not divergent. Is there the possibility for it? No, the RSI or the stochastics themselves between the most two recent of lows also not divergent. But over here on the MACD, what you can see is this set of higher lows there as part of this sort of lower lows section here, low, low, and low, if you were to say that, or even just between the most previous two lows. So any sort of turnaround at this point here could be yet again from the Rocky Outcrop school of technical analysis. You could have a sort of wedge structure forming here if there's any, if we can confirm a local low, right? This is speculative AF, you could say. Currently we're in a channel, right? But if we can confirm a local low by putting in a lower high at least, or taking out this area over here at 226, then what you'd be able to do would be to draw from that point there two touches of a descending wedge, right? That's what you could do if this were to happen, and that would be going past this red line over here in the that we had drawn on to say, you know, this is the very, very dodgy line to not be going past. And it could take you up in terms of a measured move past what could be the sort of the gravy making line over here. If I just make this one green for us, should really just do the traffic light system again on this one though. I'll do it for green for now. We can adjust things in future episodes. That could take us past that zone there, and then we could go on up the way, and that would be very, very, very good potentially. But what we see right now is convergence across the major moving averages down below, all three of them, and this pertains mostly to how we see the price action showing up with our very eyes anyway. And this is very much speculative and ahead of the charts. But we can talk about this over the next week. But failure to do any of this and just pushing on down the way could just see this simply converge as well, you know, or it could even be bullishly divergent at any point down to the minus 58 there on that one, which could come in for either of these two, for instance. And we still do have these in mind at 1826 for the 1414 Fibonacci retracement. In fact, we've almost done that today in terms of that target, almost. And then the 1618 down there at 000153.2. So that would be your targets. That would be your targets. The fact that these have come into parity hasn't done us any good in terms of the hit BTC chart. We've down here and we've got this parallel channel, which we've obviously, you know, this was drawn in previous times. If we wick back up again, maybe we see this move towards the top side, in which case, you know, depending on the size of the movement towards the top side, you've either got a wedge or just this parallel channel on the go, which we already spoke about wherever it was. You know, what can I say now? I mean, this is it. This is where we are with this thing. At any point in here, we could see some positivity coming back in the market. It's not going to be determined by Bitcoin itself. Fundamentals of this thing could do with sort of kind of catching up with the price action could do with catching up with the fundamentals, or fundamentals with the price action. Whichever way round that is, I'm not actually going to be qualified to say because I don't know who would be. So, but I would say that there's this potential here for this crappy sort of idea that we don't want to see happen, where we eventually go down to these low targets where you're down there sub $1, putting in a low and kind of turning around what has been the macro upward side trend since 6th of December 2019. I really don't want to see that happening. Movements down below $1, of course, really shocking. But it's within the realms of possibility. You know, is within the realms of possibility. This is actually on logarithmic. So when I move this down, it stretches away up. If I take it off log, then you can just see how shocking this sort of thing is as you go down to minus 29 cents. We can't cope with that being what that is. Just there isn't the room for it. If it does a 60% move off the back of it, then you could be looking down to those sorts of targets. So that'd be really negative. So at any point here, you could see the positive turnaround. You could, and this is the last sort of couple of areas. So let's stick in some horizontal lines here as I sort of wrap up the show there as being a major area. There as being a major area, and then down to there as being a major area if we continue with the negative story. Okay, if we do, and at which point, you know, we do want to see something turn around here, but we don't have much to go on, you know. That's that. But we could do. There are the positive things that I said, you know, in terms of how this structure could turn out to be what it could turn out to be, but that's it. Okay, anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next episode. And I do want to have this turn to be positive at some point, because I was shorting it myself down. I don't talk about positions ever really, but I was shorting it myself down the way here. And movements down past this line, like I said as well, on Friday and stuff, very, very negative for us. But at this point here, I just, you know, I'm just waiting to see essentially what would be the best thing. My opinion is, by the way, actually that it goes towards the top side. That's my opinion. But the technical analysis just hasn't got that in it, really, apart from the few areas that I found it at, kind of looking with a fine tooth comb. Like here in the 4-hour time frame where you've got bullish divergence here in the stochastics. Don't know why the other ones aren't loading up. Nope. With 1-hour time frame. It'll have it surely. Yeah. Went right home about that, but there's degrees of it. So you want to see this turn around. About the weekly. So we're still waiting for things to look good. That's essentially what we've got. Catch you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. YouTube.com/Rocky Outcrop. Oh, I was supposed to talk about Ethereum, wasn't I? We've done what we said we'd do in Ethereum. That's probably what's happened here. Probably. Let me just go down. What we could do, is that if we didn't see a turnaround here, this isn't a wedge. This doesn't have any of that divergence. Nothing good about it. You just have to reaccommodate what's actually happened in the price action. Then it becomes a parallel channel, or else potential for this to still be a wedge along the broader term, as we can still see it is in terms of the MACD. So we still got that, but it's just continuation until such times as we get a local low in, which we haven't had over the last few days, So until such times as we get a local low, which could be now, my opinion is that it is, but the technicals aren't saying that to me. The technicals are saying that it's, until such times as, and we're not there yet. Well, that's that. That's it then, right? Okay, cool. So I have to still keep our eyes out for the low 50s. If we do get a movement up towards the top side, 65, you're talking serious percentage moves here. So the opportunity for trading this thing is easy. It's just 13% to get to the top of that wedge. Right, cool. Anyway, yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. YouTube.com/Rocky Outcrop. Share with your friends. You want to. They want you to. Stop making this the best kept secret on YouTube. Join me on Mondays and others. I'll not necessarily be there every Monday, but I have been so far for the live chat in the Discord. Be in touch with us all there as well if you want us to change the timeline to be more timeline appropriate for you. But anyway, it's currently running at UK time 12 midday UK time. Google it so you know where that is on your time. But and catch you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Share with your friends. YouTube.com/Rocky Outcrop, but spelled correctly. Yeah, cool. Going to go back and take a look at the chat now. See ya.